begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, calling together. All amateur radio operators, this is the weekly net of the M17 Project. I am Ed, November 2, X-Ray Delta Delta, and I will be your net control station this afternoon. This net meets weekly on Fridays at 1700 hours UTC by means of the M17 Charlie Reflector. The purpose of this net is to relay and share information in regards to the M17 Project. M17 is a new digital radio protocol in development as an alternative to those currently available with freedom in mind. Freedom in the code, protocol, voice codecs, and hardware. The goal is to provide a better option for digital radios in the future. We encourage all radio amateurs to check into this net. We will take check-ins followed by an informal roundtable to discuss all things M17 related. I will now stand by for check-ins. Please give me your call sign using proper ITU phonetics, followed by your name and location, and if you have anything for the net. When keying up your microphone or push-to-talk device, please pause approximately 2 seconds before proceeding with speech. Also try and limit your communications to under 3 minutes. I will now stand by for net check-ins.
This is Kilo Charlie 1, Alpha Whiskey Victor, KC1AWV, Steve, located in Boston, Massachusetts. No traffic for the net.
Here is November 8, Victor, November, Romeo, Kevin in North Carolina, no traffic.
Sierra Papa 5, Whiskey Papa, Wojciech from Warsaw, Poland, no traffic.
November 2, Golf Yankee, November, John from Long Island, New York, no traffic.
São Paulo, Brasil, no traffic.
Kilo November 6, India, Quebec, KN6HIQ, Pavel, San Francisco Bay Area, no traffic.
Kilo 9, Foxtrot Hotel, Phil, Chicago area, no traffic.
Okay, guys, we're going to hold it up there. Net control wishes to recognize Steve, KC1AWV, Kevin in North Carolina, N8 VNR, Wojciech, welcome, SP5WWP, John from Long Island, N2GYN. We had Pedro in there from Brazil, Papa Union 2, Ocean India Papa, and Pavel from California, KN9, no, I messed that one up. I missed your call sign there. Definitely wrote it wrong. Sorry about that. KN6HIQ. KN6HIQ. And Phil, KNFH. Do we have any other check-ins?
Victor Uniform 3 now. Bravo Oscar Juliet from the city of Cochin, southern India. No traffic.
Okay, net control wishes to recognize VU3 BOJ. I believe you're our first check-in from India, so welcome, welcome. Do we have any further check-ins?
AA4HS.
W0TV. Dave in Chanhassen, Minnesota.
Okay, AA4HS, can you just come back to me real quick with your first name?
Hello, yes, this is Mate in Alexandria, Virginia.
Welcome there, mate. And then we're also going to recognize W0TV. Once again, this is the weekly M17 Project Net. I'm N2XDD Net Control. Do we have any further stations with or without traffic? Late check-ins, please call Net Control. All right, gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy days to check in here with us at the M17 Project. And as of right now, we have a pretty decent turnout. We have people from all over the globe, so that's great. Seems like our net is growing weekly, getting new check-ins every week. With that, I want to see if anybody from the M17 Project team has anything to give us as far as what's going on this week in the world of M17. I'll start at the top with Steve, KC1AWV. Anything to share with us?
Well, thank you, Net Control. I don't have anything in particular. I do know that we've been working pretty hard on trying to get M17 implemented into OpenRTX, and we got an update from Silvano, who's been working on refactoring the OpenRTX firmware. And as soon as that's done, it opens up the door for putting M17 into the OpenRTX firmware. So, they need to finish the refactoring first, and then once that's taken care of, it's pretty simple for them to be able to put the capability of doing M17 on the radio shortly after that. So it's good news. The other good news that we have is I know that we've been approved for putting up a repeater in Poland. I kind of want to leave that for people that know more about that than I do, but I've been working on getting the server that needs to be running in that cabinet working, and I think we've got remote access into that server without a problem. It's always good news. And pretty soon the lab will be built, and as soon as that happens, I'll be taking photos, and then anybody that wants to come by and check out the lab is more than welcome to swing by. I know that it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but you got to do what you can with what you got. So I know that Ed plans on coming up, and I'm sure that Mike would probably want to come up as well and help out. So I'll have more information on that later on once the pieces fall into place for that. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Net Control. This is KC1AWV.
Okay, Steve, thank you for that update there and updating us on the OpenRTX.org project as well. It seems like the M17 project and the OpenRTX guys have been working hand in hand to get this off the ground and running, as they say. So, once again, this is N2XDD Net Control Station for the weekly M17 Project Net. Do we have any late check-ins before we go down the list to the M17 team members? Okay, hearing nothing, we're going to pass it over to SP5WWP, all the way from Poland.
Hi guys, I don't have much to add, as Steve said it all basically. So we are going to visit the site for the repeater next week, so expect some photos. And that's about it. So back to net control.
Okay, well, Jack, thank you for that little bit of information there. I appreciate it. Do we have anybody with any questions or comments for the M17 team? Please call net control. Okay, guys, hearing nothing, I do want to thank the new check-ins we have today. I believe Pedro from Brazil is one of our new guys. Bijoy from India. Pavel, I'm not sure if I remember hearing you around here before too. So thank you and welcome. Welcome to the M17 project. We can be found online at M17Project.org, and we have links to the various social media and forum sites that members from the team populate. So if you guys have any other information and you don't want to ask it here, please feel free to check us out at M17Project.org, and you can find links to our forums and, like I said, our Discord and IRC and Matrix servers as well. So this is N2XDD Net Control. Do we have anybody else with any traffic or questions, concerns, or late check-ins? Please call now. Okay, gentlemen, it sounds like it's going to be a quick one today, but it is Friday, so hope everybody enjoys their weekend. And once again, if you're new or unfamiliar with what M17 is all about, please check us out, M17Project.org, and there'll be links to all the different ways you can interact and contact us. Big things coming down the pipeline, like KC1AWV had told us in his earlier announcement, building a repeater in Poland. It's going to be the first M17 repeater on the air, unless somebody beats us to it. And also, up just north of Boston, we're going to be having a M17 lab that's going to be constructed. So once again, big things coming, and we want to thank everybody for joining us and taking the ride. Before I tie a bow on this and wrap it up, do we have anybody else with anything for the net, including late check-ins?
KC1AWV.
Steve, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Net Control. It's a pretty good thing that it's going to be a quick one, because I think my lunch is going to be showing up here soon anyway. But yeah, the repeater project, that's definitely a race. It seems like everybody's interested in getting M17 on the air. But one of the things that we're trying to also speed up the process on is getting M17 onto either a handheld or something like a mobile radio. And one of the things that I ran into during the modification of the radio, I accidentally pulled off one of the pads from the circuit board on a UV380. So if anybody's looking for a UV380 that needs some significant repair, I got one. But yeah, I'll try and make a better video on the modification process for the UV380. It seems as though that the regular MD380, the UHF version, it's easier to modify because you don't have to take the whole damn thing apart. But unfortunately, it's difficult to find those, and so I had to go with the UV model. And there was a question earlier. Well, it wasn't this morning; it was last night. Somebody was asking, what radio to buy, and since the MD series of radios are the ones that are first being modified for M17, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and grab one of those. The problem is, like I said, the UHF only models, they're kind of hard to come by, and the UV models, it's a bit more involved for the modifications. So the other question was, do I buy the GPS model? Yes, go ahead, buy the GPS model. I think it's only $10 more, and both OpenRTX and M17 on OpenRTX will be able to support the GPS functionality, even though there seems to be a bit of a question about how we do the formatting for that GPS data. So if anybody has any ideas on how to format that GPS data, please visit our forums. It's the most recent topic in the technical section of the forum. So if you have any ideas or questions or comments that you'd like to make on how to implement GPS data and what format to put it in and all that other stuff, go ahead and put those there. That seems to be the hot topic right now. And it looks like I'm getting close to 3 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Net Control. This is KC1AWV.
All right, Steve, thank you for that. And so far, only one UV380 has been damaged in our quest to get M17 running on it. So not too bad at all, gentlemen. Do we have anybody else with any questions, comments, or any other traffic or check-ins? Please hold Net Control.
And TGIF query.
Good afternoon, John. Go ahead with your query.
Yeah, my question is to Steve. Let me see if he's copying me. Are you copying me, Steve, or KC1AWV-R?
And to GYN, KC1AWV, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, very good. Probably might be a all-time stupid question, but have you tried to approach the manufacturers to include the ability to for M17 rather than trying to mod and figure out what radio could do it and what has there been any open dialogue with any of the actual manufacturers to have any radio out of the box be able to do M17? Over.
That is a very, very good question, and nobody has approached a manufacturer from M17 to put M17 as a protocol into one of their radios. There could be any number of reasons that a manufacturer would be hesitant. I mean, the protocol, like I always say, is still in its infancy. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked out and nailed down as far as testing and protocol is concerned but I think really the way that we're doing it is probably going to be the for the project itself. It's probably going to be the best way, where we're doing all the testing, we're doing the modifications to the radios before we approach a manufacturer. You know, you don't want to go in half-baked and say, hey, put our protocol in a radio and you could make a lot of money, because that's really what the manufacturers are worried about, is how much money are they going to be able to make off of it. Arguably, they'll be able to make more money because they won't have to pay for licensing on a voice codec. So, you know, that's one thing to consider. But you know, again, you don't want to go to a manufacturer with, you know, half a protocol and still being researched, et cetera, et cetera. That's why we're doing all the testing and modifications now, so that we can, you know, discover which radios would probably be the easiest. And if I had to, don't quote me on this, please don't quote me on this, and I'm probably, you know, talking out of my rear end when I say this, but if there's any radio that's out there that could possibly be an M17 radio, I believe it would be something close to the Yaesu Fusion radios, because of the type of processor that they have, the type of hardware that's being used, and all the other things. If I had to kind of take a guess as to which one would probably be the easiest manufacturer to go to, it would probably be Yaesu. Obviously, you could also do a white box, you know, radio from TYT or, you know, any of the other manufacturers over there in China. But then it becomes a barrier of language. You know, we'd have to talk directly to somebody in China. You know, and there's just a lot of other things that we need to take care of before we go ahead and approach a manufacturer or have a manufacturer consider reaching out to us. So I think we're a little bit too early in the game for that, but it's not something that we are not looking at. So it is something that we are looking at eventually. So, but right now it seems to be a bit early. So I don't want to, you know, make any comments to kind of lead people in a certain direction as to what we would be doing for that. So right now we're just in the research and development process. But, you know, going to a manufacturer definitely would probably be something that we would want to do. It's not to say that we won't have radios that we make ourselves. Go figure I time out because I tend to waffle. But yeah, we also have the TR9 that needs to be finished. So if anything, we'd probably finish that before we go to a manufacturer as well. We want to kind of have our own radio to be able to play around with and further development on the protocol with. So yeah, I'm just wasting time right now talking, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to you. This is KC1AWV.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for the in-depth response. That's good. I appreciate that. It's very, very informative. And, you know, I think some of these manufacturers, they're so eager to beat the other guy on something. You know, have a feature, have something that the other guy don't have so you would buy ours. So I don't know what their attitude is. I'm curious if they would be eager to look at and you know, something like adding the protocol, or dismissive. You know, I wonder what their reaction would be. That's why I was curious if anybody has even approached them. Well, thank you very much again, Steve. Back to net control. N2GYN.
And just before Ed takes it over, there was something that I was going to say, and I completely forgot what it was, because that's how my mind works. But I'll go ahead and pass it back to Ed. KC1AWV.
All right, Steve, well, if you remember in the next couple minutes, feel free to jump back in here. John, thank you very much for that question. Very good question, and good response by Steve, laying it all out there. So, anybody else with any questions, comments, or lead check-ins to the M17 Weekly Net, please call Net Control N2XDD.
KN6HIQ.
If there was another radio that could possibly handle our radio protocol, it would probably be one of the Kenwood NX series radios. I'm looking for anyone that may have an NX 6300, I believe it is. If anybody wants to donate something like that to the project, it would be greatly appreciated. And we could probably turn a Kenwood radio into not just a DMR P25, I think it also does NXDN. We could also throw M17 on there as well. It should fit in pretty easily. We just need one and the firmware to play around with. So maybe I'll put up a wish list for us and include that in it. So, all right, back to Net Control, KC1AWV.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I think you were keyed up right on top of KN6HIQ. KN6HIQ, did you have something here for Net? N2XDD.
Yeah, well, this is just my 2 cents about the manufacturer's question. I just feel like, if we start reaching out to manufacturers eventually, we'll have quite a bit of success because, they're reaching into open source territory a lot rather recently, and I think the best example I have of that is all of the clones of the HackRF ones that are being sold out of China. So, they're going as far as to create hardware specifically for a certain application, which not a lot of people will buy. So, if a radio, which will probably get more use from the amateur community, is of interest to them, odds are someone's going to be interested. I'm really, watching this project and eager to see it move forward. That's all from me. KN6HIQ over to N2XDD.
Thank you for that insight there. Unfortunately, I think a lot of times, especially in the case of the HackRF system from China, all these clones that are being made, they're not being individually developed by any of these manufacturers. The manufacturers more or less are taking liberty and just running off copies of the board and putting in less superior parts and whatnot and selling it for half the cost of what an original would be like. So that's just my take on it. Anybody else have anything to add to that? All right, guys, and just a correction to KC1AWV's information before in regards to the Kenwood radio. It's an NX5300. The NX5300, if anybody has anyone laying around that they wish to donate to the M17 project for some further experimenting, please reach out to KC1AWV. Or if anybody has any experience with those radios and you're willing to let us pick your brain for a little bit, please reach out to a member of the M17 staff. This is N2XDD Net Control. Anybody else with any information or late check-ins or questions? All right, guys. Hearing nothing, I think we're going to wrap it up here. And I want to thank all those stations that checked in today. for participating and supporting the net. Your help in maintaining this net is appreciated by one and all. This is Ed, November 2, X-ray Delta Delta, and the net is now secured at 17:30 hours UTC. 7-3. Enjoy the weekend, all.